What's good? Welcome in. We appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jay Senior. Coming your way on today's show, 5 big superstar NBA trades that could happen after the peak of NBA free agency and after Summer League wrapped up. We'll get to those trades coming up, but first, today's show presented by Aura, the all-in-one digital safety tool. Nowadays, we do everything online, and because of that, all of our precious information is on our computers. It's on our phones, which then leads to your information getting hacked and your bank accounts getting hacked as well. Start your free 14-day free trial, which can keep you and your family safe by heading to aura.com/chatsports. That link available for you in the comment section and the description of this video. So Bleacher Report put together these 5 monster trades, which are to the juicy variety. And we start off with this one in a deal between the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz. Really, if Donovan Mitchell gets traded, I think it's going to lead itself to the Utah Jazz just blowing everything up. And why have a player like Bojan Bogdanovic if you're going to trade away Donovan Mitchell? Because he's a win-now player, and you can get some really good value back. So in this deal, the Suns would be able to get a really good shooter, and the Jazz would receive Jay Crowder, Landry, Shamet, and a 2023 first-round pick. Now, Shamet, still a young player, only a few years removed from his playing days at Wichita State. You get that first-round pick. According to reports, all Utah really wants is future draft capital so that they can do what Oklahoma City has been able to do in stockpiling a lot of these young assets. I would imagine that the Jazz would then look to move Jay Crowder to a championship-level team. As for Bojan Bogdanovic on the Phoenix, he would get a lot of open opportunities to let it fly from beyond the arc and distance. 18 points per game last year with Utah. Really good three-point shooter, as evidenced by the numbers there, 39%. Not a good defender by any means, so Phoenix would certainly lack that, but you have Mikal Bridges. You now have DeAndre Ayton as your rim protector, so maybe you'll be able to make up for it, and Bogdanovic would be able to give CP3, Devin Booker, another lethal shooter. And can you imagine Bogdanovic playing alongside those guys? My goodness. He would fit the Suns' versatility. He would get a lot of open opportunities, and he probably would shoot around 40% from 3. Trade idea number 2. I like this one because the Lakers need a dog defensively. They need a culture changer. They need a guy who, alongside LeBron James, is a big game player, seizes the moment, loves the spotlight, and never backs down from a challenge. And that could be Patrick Beverley. Him playing alongside LeBron defensively when LeBron puts forward effort on that end of the floor could make the Lakers a better defensive team as compared to last year. And frankly, I don't think it would be close because the Lakers were terrible last year defensively. So the Lakers received Patrick Beverley. The Jazz received Talen Horton-Tucker, as well as Max Christie, who was selected in the second round, excuse me. We're not talking about the NFL draft. The second round by the Lakers out of Michigan State. You get rid of that Talen Horton-Tucker contract. It's about a similar deal to what Patrick Beverley is currently getting, and you part ways with a young asset, and Utah would be able to get that young asset in Max Christie, who, best case scenario, down the road, can become a 3-and-D player. Wasn't really that good with Michigan State, that draft selection, though, based purely on upside. The Lakers might have to include a pick, though. That's what you're looking at here. If you want Patrick Beverley, who's a really good player and can really help you, that's what you might have to include, and the Jazz might have a little bit of leverage in that regard. So you look at the trade right here once more. Lakers receive Bev. Jazz get Talen Horton-Tucker as well as Max Christie. Who do you think wins the trade? We want to hear from you right now in the comment section because we here at Chat Sports, we love your feedback. We're all about the audience interaction. LAL for the Lakers, UTA for the Jazz. Let me know right now. Bleacher Report trade number 3. How about this one? Everybody's talking about Kevin Durant going to Miami, going to Phoenix, going to the Golden State Warriors. The Pelicans have one of the best packages that they could put together if they want to bring in KD. Now, if you ask me if I would make this move, I would not. I think Brandon Ingram, he's not going to become Kevin Durant in terms of historic offensive player, but he has a game that replicates KD. Everybody was saying that for him coming out of Duke, and it looked as though it was never going to happen. But last year, it got pretty close, folks. I mean, Brandon Ingram was a walking bucket and a true threat and menace for Phoenix in the first round. So the Pelicans get KD. You're still able to team him up with Zion Williamson and a really good defensive unit with Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado, a couple of other really good young pieces on the Pelicans team. David Griffin has done a great job of putting together a really good team. And then the Nets also received 3 first-round picks. So not only do you get a blossoming superstar and an ascending stud in Brandon Ingram, you got a point guard in Devontae Graham, 3 first-round picks as well. Now, as I mentioned off the top, today's show presented by Aura. We do still have a couple of trade ideas to get to, but have to tell you about Aura because I care about you as a subscriber of us here at Chat Sports or a loyal viewer. And I don't want you to have to go through the rigorous process of trying to get your identity back after it was stolen or having to get that new debit and credit card like my boy Marshall Green after his bank account was hacked the other week. Keep your identity secure with extensive monitoring of all of your personal info. Aura helps with that. 14-day free trial. If you plug in that link at the bottom of your screen, it's aura.com/chatsports. Now, the Pelicans would lose Kevin Durant. Here's what the roster would be, and it's still a really good roster. Losing BI, it would certainly hurt. But you know what wouldn't hurt? Having KD, 30 points per game, and he still makes you a championship contender, even with losing Brandon Ingram. Jose Alvarado probably becomes your starting point guard because you lose Devontae Graham, who honestly wasn't good in the playoffs to the point where he was getting DNP'd. Jonas Valanciunas, really good center. Last year, averaged 18 points per game. We know that C.J. McCollum, very good offensive player. Zion Williamson, a two-way threat. So, too, is KD. So, while C.J. McCollum, not a good defensive player, Alvarado's a dog. Zion Williamson can block shots. Jonas Valanciunas can at least hold it down low, but offensively also stretch the floor for some driving lanes for some of these players here and to open up some opportunities for Zion, who doesn't really have a three-point shot. Then Kevin Durant, he can really just be a high-level impact player offensively and defensively. Speaking of KD, where do you think he's going to play in 2022, 2023? Is it going to be Brooklyn? Is it going to be New Orleans, Golden State, Miami, Phoenix? Either way, let me know a destination down below and come through with the sleeper if you want. Another trade to get to, and it, of course, involves Brooklyn and, once again, the Los Angeles Lakers. Nets getting Russell Westbrook. The Lakers would certainly love that. Kendrick Nunn and a 2026 first-round pick. Lakers receive their darling and the apple of their eye, at least seemingly throughout this entire offseason. That is Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris. Here's the problem. Nobody wants Russell Westbrook. And in order to get rid of him as the player, him as the personality, and him on the contract of $47+ million, you're going to have to attach a pick. Now, with the Lakers, if you can find a way to maneuver that deal, that'd be great because Kyrie is younger, he's cheaper, he's the better player. We know what he's able to do alongside LeBron James, and the Lakers will become a threat in the Western Conference as long as Kyrie Irving is able to play consistently. Now, obviously, that's a problem. Russell Westbrook has been more readily available than Kyrie, but from a pure basketball standpoint, Kyrie Irving makes the Lakers better. You also get a good shooter in there in Joe Harris. Now, according to reports, the Brooklyn Nets have informed Joe Harris and his camp they don't want to move him. Obviously, guys who can shoot the rock from three have a lot of value in today's NBA, but that trade for the Lakers, hard to turn down. That trade made by the Nets, that would be basketball malpractice in my opinion. The likeliest to be traded among the players who we've chopped up and talked about on today's show is a Kevin Durant, type 7 for his number. 0 for Russell Westbrook. Kyrie Irving, type 11. We want to hear from you right now. Last trade idea to get to, and it's the one that has been simmering in NBA circles over the last couple of weeks, ever since that latest Woj bomb, which has certainly worked in titles. Knicks received Donovan Mitchell. Jazz receive Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, and 4 first-round picks. As I said a little bit earlier, the Jazz, their process right now, if they trade away and rebuild, and they trade away Donovan Mitchell, they want to accumulate all of these draft picks to start bringing in some young assets. And you do that with Grimes, Obi Toppin, and Cam Reddish, who still has not lived up to expectations. Evan Fournier, maybe you flip him and send him to another team because he's making around $17, $18 million. For the Knicks, though, they get Donovan Mitchell, and they've had their eyes on him for a really long time. D-Mitch grew up in Jersey. His pops played for the New York Mets. That's why those connections have been made for a long while, and the Knicks right now, according to reports, they have no concerns about a defensive backcourt of Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. I would, because I'm not sure how good they are defensively, but at least offensively, this team is intriguing, and this deal notable for New York, because you get to hold on to R.J. Barrett, who is a fast-developing player, and he can maybe be in his natural role of being a guy who is probably best suited as a third option on a playoff team. And you have Mitchell Robinson, who you sign in free agency. You hold on to Julius Randle, who might be the fourth option, and an all-NBA player as a fourth option. That could make the Knicks a very interesting team in the Eastern Conference. So I'm not sure if Utah would do that. I think they want R.J. Barrett in the deal, but if this deal were to happen, makes the Knicks a factor in the Eastern Conference. We haven't been able to say that in a long while for New York. Which trade is the best one? We just went through 5 of them. Before we hop on out of here, let us know. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You want to scroll back, take a look at those trades, you can do so. Either way, let us know which trade you like the best.